welcome. We are here to talk all about the upcoming Caribbean Conservation Finance Congress. It's the 2023 event, the second event. We had the first one in 2021. So, welcome. Here we have the chair of the Caribbean Biodiversity Fund, the board chair, Caroline Trubetskoy. And we also have our chief executive officer, Karen McDonald Gill. Karen, did you hear me almost call you Caribbean?
I am very curious. That's fine.
Yeah, maybe that's going to be Caribbean Karen. But welcome, welcome. We're here to talk all about what we can expect from this conference. This congress is going to be happening on July 27th to 28th, right? We're working that in right on
Right.
Nature Conservation Day. And we will be just hearing what is circular economy. That is the theme for this year, advancing circular economies, what it is, how can it benefit the Caribbean, and hear all about the organizers, the Caribbean Biodiversity Fund and Island Innovation. So Karen, tell us a little bit more about, this year's theme and why it is so important to the Caribbean at this time.
Sure, thanks. So this Caribbean Biodiversity Fund is really excited to be hosting our second biannual congress that focuses on our ongoing theme of how do we make sure that we are creating income and opportunities in the area of conservation. And we're even more excited that it comes at the same time that we are launching our latest program, which is the Nature Based Economies program, which focuses on the idea of circular economies. And the idea of circular economy is one that we actually all know about well in the Caribbean. A lot of us had our moms telling us don't throw that away or keep the foil in a little package and reuse the biscuit tins. The idea of how we make sure we're using as much as we can the materials that we have at hand. It talks about reusing, reducing, and upcycling, much more than recycling. Upcycling anything that we have that we now consider waste and making it into new products. So minimizing waste to the waste stream, which is extremely important, and how we can reintegrate those. And of course, in our Caribbean context, in our small island developing states, this is a very important theme for us to really think about and focus on.
Excellent, excellent. And I'm so happy that you brought in how we've started that process. And now with circular economies, I'm almost expecting that we can advance that, build on that to start even upcycling our waste, as you were saying. So, Caroline, go ahead. How do you think this can benefit the Caribbean at this time as we're working towards our sustainable development goals and our conservation targets? Right now in the world based on what's happening. It's so hot. So we're feeling it. Talk to us about that.
Thanks, Renee. Well, I think that's the timing is really perfect to start talking on the benefits of circular economy for the Caribbean. I think many of us are still stuck in this linear way of using materials. We use and then we discard. And what that does is it fills our landfill. And sadly, it also travels into our water stream and into the ocean. So knowing that the marine health is so important to our Caribbean countries, I think that the plastic reduction as part of waste reduction is, of course, a very important element of addressing circular economy. I think that there's tremendous opportunity also for entrepreneurs or innovators to come up with ideas how we can, as Karen said, not just recycle but upcycle perhaps, and really in a closed loop and hanging on to these raw materials and basically ensuring that the raw materials of tomorrow, the waste of today becomes the raw material of tomorrow. The environmental protection, of course, is also important, and by reducing waste and also promoting a more sustainable use of resources, we can help to protect our unique biodiversity, for example. So I think there's many opportunities for us to ensure that our Caribbean will benefit from an approach of circular economy, for sure.
Exactly. And it couldn't be any more perfect, Karen. Thank you for that. So now that, we have talked about circular economy, what we can expect for the Caribbean, Karen, do talk to us now about what we can expect from this Congress. How will we, how will this Congress add more to what we know and what we can expect?
Sure, Renee. So the idea for the Congress was really, as I mentioned before, we will be starting at the Caribbean Biodiversity Fund a new program, which is now we have one program that's focused on conservation financing and working with our countries in the region on conservation trust funds and development. We have a program that's working on climate change. And so one of the areas we thought we could also make a contribution in is this area of nature-based economies, really asking the questions of the true economics of the Caribbean, which is so integrally linked to nature and what we can make of it. So we've already heard discussions and heard the terms blue economy and green economy. And so now we're adding circular economy. And it means that we are thinking about, in addition to what's happening all over the world and what changes are coming up, what does it mean in the Caribbean? And what does it mean to have a Caribbean circular economy? It is very important that we make sure that we think about the context that we're in, the Caribbean countries that we're in, the other, balancing the various priorities that these countries already have, and how circular economy can help in that process. So that's what we're going to think through. We are going to have speakers that are going to tell us about what they've learned about circular economy. We're going to have speakers that are going to tell us about the Caribbean priorities, which is going to be important. And of course, we've already done some work in the Caribbean. It's always a case that we in the Caribbean have as we say in Jamaica, we've done something, we've made something, turn our hand and make fashion with something that we've done already. So it's just a matter of seeing how this works, showing some examples. We will also have some international speakers to tell us what else is possible in the Caribbean in terms of circular economy. And then maybe we can think, and we have a specific session where we're going to talk about, okay, they did it in country X. Will it work in the Caribbean? And of course, working with stakeholders from the Caribbean to talk through what's possible, so that when we're ready to roll out the ACE program, which is the Advanced in Circular Economies facility, we will be able to think and work with a group of stakeholders that know what we're thinking about in terms of trying to find those projects that we need to find on the ground for the program.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. That sounds fantastic. Karen, we couldn't have had it at a more perfect time. Thank you for that. Caroline, as you are board chair, tell me how, what do you see the view of this in terms of circular economies? How can it really lend itself to the rest of the world? We know that we're going to be hearing the practical case studies. We're going to be hearing from our international experts. Talk to us about, because you're not only board chair, you also work, within the tourism sector. Do you see any advantages of circular economy for the tourism sector at this time?
For sure, Renee, there are lots of advantages. I think that often we just see the circular economy as a very complex issue, and we don't come together to really perhaps look at it from the perspective, what is the low-hanging fruit? What can we actually implement and achieve easily? And coming from the tourism sector, for example, here in St. Lucia, we have now, for example, re-energized our environmental committee and trying to really drill down on how can we reduce waste? How can we upstart something that would be helping the industry to recycle more and also reduce the waste. That's just one example, but I think that most importantly to me is to bring the discussion mainstream, because it seems often that we have the academics and the technocrats discussing it. But so if you are a private person, if you are running a private company, you may almost feel like it's not something that is in your control. And I think the message is that is something that we need to all jump on the bandwagon. We all need to understand what it is and what circular economy wants to do. And I think if we have more of our public and private stakeholders pay attention to the opportunity, I think we will hopefully see some successes.
Yes, this is true. And so who can we expect, Caroline, Karen, you can jump in here. Who do we want to see at this upcoming Congress, this upcoming event?
Carolyn's last point is very important. It really is for all persons who want to see how they can make a difference. I think for the donors, it's interesting to see who else is at the table. I think for those who are working in circular economy already, it's also good to hear what's happening and also be able to share with us, the newbies on the block at the Caribbean Biodiversity Fund, about the lessons learned and the challenges you may have encountered, so that we have good footing for when we're moving forward. I saw a question asking about getting in touch for support. That will come up as we grow out what we're doing. But we want to make sure that we are, not creating another silo or another layer, that we're working our way through the various existing work that's been done in circular economy. And then, of course, for anybody who's interested in what has happened in circular economy globally, as well as what's going to be happening in the Caribbean, it's very important that you're there, that you're part of helping us to ask questions we want to make sure that we're answering, and that you are able to hear some more about what we will be doing in terms of hitting the ground with grants and other opportunities through the Caribbean Biodiversity Fund.
That sounds fantastic. So now we know who we can expect. What are the takeaways that we're looking for from the event? Because you're saying that we're not just going to be talking, we're going to be networking and working with other people. What can they expect at the end of the Congress?
Yeah, for me, I'll start. I'll let Carolyn jump in, but for me, it's the standing block that hopefully we will start shouting from, about the work that we're doing on circular economy, and that we're ready to hear more and be a part of the conversation in the Caribbean. The Caribbean Biodiversity Fund is learning all of this year, and in particular with this event, what the space is for circular economy work, and we really want to make sure that we are able to play a part in that. So after this event, you will hear and see much more about the ACE facility and the ability for learning and sharing and being able to work together towards projects on the ground that will make hopefully long-lasting impacts in terms of what we can do in circular economy.
Fantastic. Caroline?
I hope that we will walk away from the Congress having an even more extensive network of partners, not just in the Caribbean, but we globally that work in this field. And obviously, I hope that there will be some inspiring best practices shared that would stimulate a discussion locally how we could implement it. I think that it may also highlight perhaps some gaps in our legislations that need to be addressed. And so in a way, hopefully we also see a bit of advocacy coming out of the Congress that would help us to say to our public stakeholders, here, this is how you can support driving the agenda forward and by looking at your individual legislations, for example. And lastly, we're talking a lot about, I would say, new financial models, how any such circular economies could be supported. So I think that could also be a very interesting outcome, what financial strategies and solutions there could be.
Yeah, and I'll jump in quickly, Renee, to add that the last 2 points from Carolyn are very important, that CBF really does consider itself part of the community of the Caribbean, and helping to listen, hear, and project the voices of the topics that we're dealing with is a big part of what we want to be able to do and to coordinate in the region. So we think that we can help with that in terms of making sure that the governments and other players can hear a little bit about what the challenges may be, and to share the solutions. We're individual islands but working together on so many other things that it's only useful for us to work together and think together in terms of some of the solutions we can come up with.
Fantastic. That togetherness is key. It is so important. If we want to go further, we go together. That is one saying that, I think we've adopted here in the Caribbean. Don't remember who it's from. And so it's a pleasure to see that being brought into this space, in terms of where we understand that individually we can only do so much, but when we collaborate And that is key, that we can do so much more at a regional, national, and even at the local levels, and even at the community levels, because every single person is contributing to that. And so, Karen, I just want you to tell us a little bit more about the organizers, as we, you know, we've shared about the event, what people can expect. Tell us a little bit more about the CBF and Island Innovation. I can see there over your shoulder. Tell us a little bit more about that and what they can, where they can learn more about the CBF and Island Innovation.
Sure. Let me take 1 minute to do a plug I should have done earlier. The Advance in Circular Economy facility itself is funded through the German government and the German Development Bank, KfW. And so that will be the program that you'll be hearing a lot more about soon. This is, as I said, that setting board, that jumpstart diving board that we will start from. And this Congress is the second that Island Innovation and Caribbean Biodiversity Fund have worked on together. We really have been, maneuvering the space, navigating the space together in terms of conservation and conservation communication, which is a very unique area of conservation. The idea that we want to get across messages from all walks of life, all persons who may be interested in conservation. So the Caribbean Biodiversity Fund has been around for 11 years now. We had 10th anniversary last year, and really doing interesting work that we hope you can see more about. I'm sure our website is available. And our partners at Island Innovation have also been really key in making sure that the message that we put across is one that is not full of jargon, full of technical aspects, but really talks to what people want to think about and hear in the island context. And what's been really interesting for Island Innovation and the work that we've been doing together is it's not only, so we've been doing a Caribbean context, but Island Innovation really looks at other islands, any island, islands in Scotland, islands in Iceland. And so it's been a very useful collaboration. And the Caribbean Biodiversity Fund has been very pleased to be able to work with them on projects such as this, and really broadcasting the message of useful, unique conservation tools that are good communication tools as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. I'm looking forward to learning myself, and I'm hoping that all of our live stream attendees are looking forward to learning about that as well. So, Caroline, just as we start to wrap up, because this was a very short, quick introduction into the 2023 Caribbean Conservation Finance Congress. So tell us, any final words? What are you most looking forward to from the Congress? And, a quick shout out and maybe invite to your network.
My final words are, you don't have to work in circular economy to join us, because we realize this is new ground for many of us. And I think that I would like to see a real good cross section of public-private stakeholders that just want to learn more. And so, yes, we will have our experts, but I'm hoping that we can really stimulate the discussion coming out of this Congress.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Karen?
Well, Carolyn stole my words. That was very close to what I was going to say, but also that we want the hard discussion. Maybe that's what I would add, that we really are using this as a stepping stone. So please come with hard questions. Please come with your ideas. Let's have a strong discussion on what's possible. And as I say, I think it's just the start of a road and a journey together through the work that we will be doing on circular economy.
Fantastic. Thank you to lovely ladies for being here today. Thank you for sharing, your knowledge, your expertise, and just telling us more about this upcoming Congress. Again, it's going to be held on July 27 to 28. We are looking forward to it. All are invited. Let's learn more about circular economy, and let's, go ahead, start the discussion and see how we can start to do our part as we work towards creating a more circular Caribbean. So thank you again, Karen McDonald-Gill and Caroline Trubetskoy, Board Chair and CEO here at the Caribbean Biodiversity Fund. Thank you for joining us, and see you at the upcoming Congress. So the registration link is right there, caribbeanconservationfinance.org. Learn more about the event or visit us at Caribbean Biodiversity caribbeanfund.org, and you can learn more about the event there as well. Thank you so much, and see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing everybody.